I am the queen of enjoying every moment, never wanting something good to come to an end, and a late checkout is the embodiment of that. I'm your host, Laura Janela. Guys, the coffee necessities this week are insane. Welcome back to Late Checkout. Happy to have you here. Cannot believe it is a week until Christmas. I feel like I'm in disbelief, not just because time is going so fast, but it is. Like December, it goes by so quickly. I love those memes that it's like, how is it December 15th when it just turned December 1? I'm like, yes, I absolutely agree with you. Time is just, can we slow it down for a sec? I want to continue enjoying 2024 so bad, but I can't do anything about it. So we're here. We just got back from a really awesome weekend down in the Alps. We went to a place called Arosa, which is right outside of Davos in Switzerland. I feel like Davos is a little bit better and well known, but we loved this town. We've been dying to go, I think, honestly, since we've moved here. And speaking of time going by so quickly, having been here for 5.5 years, it's kind of crazy how many towns we still haven't been to that have been on our list since we've been here, like since we got here. And it was just really nice to check this one off the list. And it was so satisfying because it gave us all the feels that we were looking for. You know, we had a day where it snowed beautifully. We had beautiful sunny days as well. I mean, just the mountain range view was gorgeous. Brian got to ski a little bit, which he was really excited about because we're newbies to the ski club. I used to snowboard when I was younger, but last winter, like, wanted to change it up and I want to learn how to ski. Me and Brian are like dedicated to wanting to learn. But obviously, I'm pregnant. I did not do any skiing, but he got to go up and practice. Town itself was just awesome because it had, the cute quintessential like après ski joints. It had the fondue places. It was very Swiss alpine chic, but also very comfortable. Like it had great casual restaurants with great food, Italian or Swiss, or for a small town, they had like a decent amount of restaurants. There was this one spot that was like a cafe and a bar that we absolutely loved. That was right near the train station there that we went back to a few times because they were kid friendly. Dude, a ton of places were kid friendly. Like I feel like that made the weekend even better. And Leo was just like loving the snow and loving being out, and there were some indoor playgrounds we had to bring him to. So it was overall a really great weekend. I am at the point of pregnancy where I just don't want to move anymore. I just want to be on my couch. I want to be fed. I want to take naps. I want to relax because I'm definitely feeling it physically much differently this pregnancy. But having a little bit of downtime, I did get to reflect a lot this weekend. I find these little creative spurts happen randomly, and then I'm like taking my phone and like noting everything I'm thinking about because I realize how bad I want to share certain topics with you guys, and how I want to share them is even more important than just wanting to share them, and making sure I get my point across in this way that feels authentic and real and actually is valuable for you guys to like understand and know and take away for your own lives and integrate them in your own ways. But I did have like an entire other episode already recorded and ready to go this week, and I came back and I was like, nope, I really want to share everything that I was reflecting on over the weekend because I've been thinking a lot about my brand. I've been thinking a lot about this podcast, obviously, just my work in general, but my work is a really huge vessel of my own passions and my own thoughts and my own reflections and thinking and beliefs and experiences. And when I really think about the words travel and wellness, I realize just how much of the core value of my brand is around that. And I keep leaning into those two pillars as this way to express myself because it's kind of been the way I've experienced life over the last 15 years the most, is between those two big pillars, which is why I feel like I have so much to say about it. But in particular, I want to highlight this episode how travel and wellness go hand in hand. I want to give you guys 4 reasons, 4 core realities of how travel and wellness truly are related, meant to be together. They kind of just go hand in hand. How much wellness is present within traveling, I think, is something that's really, really overlooked. And I want to be able to put a really nice definition and solid foundation around the two for you guys to have reflective way to look at traveling and to really fill your own cups when you're thinking about traveling, especially because of how much it does for our wellness. So today I'm going to give you 4 reasons, 4 very, very, very good reasons why travel and wellness go hand in hand. Okay, firstly, when you are putting yourself in a new environment, and when I'm talking about travel this episode, I'm probably going to say it 5 million times, but I do not care if it is a half-hour ride to the beach that's 30 minutes down the road. I don't care if it's to a log cabin that's an hour away or into the middle of a field, or if it's a 20-hour flight to Singapore. Regardless, travel is travel. You do not need to be on a huge, long flight in a completely different culture for you to get these benefits of wellness around travel. Okay, so that's my disclosure on that. The first way that I see travel and wellness coming together and really going hand in hand with one another is simply just getting out of your day-to-day environment. This does so much for our mental wellness. Getting anywhere that's outside of your typical patterns of your neighborhood and of your home and of where your job is or your commute or where you go to the gym, getting yourself out of that. You're seeing new scenery, you're seeing new people, you're being exposed, you're allowing your mind and your physical self to be exposed to this new location that gives you the ability to learn something about yourself, which to me goes and rolls right up into your mental wellness for you to understand yourself a little better. Putting yourself and your 5 senses through that, like just think about it for a second, right? Putting your 5 senses into a new environment, you're stimulating your senses. You're seeing new things, you're smelling new food or new streets. So, streets smell different, or you're in the countryside and you can smell the rain or the grass, or taste is being affected because you're eating different food. You're hearing different sounds, maybe a different language. You're hearing maybe less sounds too. Maybe you're in a quieter place. And having our senses go through that gives us a new perspective. It expands our perspective. It allows us to take in the world in a different way. It can ignite creativity. It can stimulate our ability to think about things completely differently than we have before, because we're now experiencing the world around us differently than what we have been every single day. And when we bring ourselves to those places, into these different environments, new thoughts come in, new ideas come in, new points of view come in. Just the simple motion of putting yourself into a new environment gives your mental wellness a new door or a new window to look and experience life through, to understand life differently. And that is only scratching at the surface. I think those exposures and your ability to allow your senses to be impacted by somewhere new can penetrate the surface so much further than that. And I think it takes time, even after once you've come back for a trip, for all of that to really integrate into who you are. And I think that's important. Moving on to the second one, I really loved getting into the deep thoughts about this and like what the meeting points were between the two of travel and wellness. And the second way that they both come together, and this is a really interesting one. You could tell I like really go off the deep end when I'm reflecting about this, but depending on the new place that you're going to, the new town or city or country or wherever you're going, your natural instincts are coming up, right? You're tapping into your natural instincts. Where am I going to sleep? Where am I going to eat? How am I gonna pack? What do I need to pack to be comfortable? What's the climate? What's the itinerary? What are we gonna be doing? I wanna be ready, right? I wanna make sure I have a roof over my head. I wanna make sure there's food in my tummy, and I wanna make sure that I am clothed and comfortable, and I can be my best self possible in this new place, right? Which seems so basic when you're just thinking about, okay, where am I going for accommodate like, where am I going? What do I need to do for accommodations? But really think about it. You're tapping into natural instincts, and that practice in general allows you to genuinely know and understand and believe that you are truly self sufficient, which may sound obvious to some people. But when I'm thinking about it on this deep base, I'm like, damn, like, honestly, traveling has allowed me to know that I can trust myself, that I can pack for myself, that I can find a place to eat, that I can find a place to sleep, that I'm able to even come over the obstacles of not knowing the language of the place that I'm in and still being able to get around and getting things done. Having that self-trust and building that trust muscle within yourself creates a ton of self-confidence. And I think traveling can be scary. It can be a little daunting to a lot of people. I do not blame people for not liking change and just wanting to be in their own home and in their own bed and being comfortable. And when I really am thinking about it on this level, I see exactly why, because you do have to be so prepared, so willing to be a chameleon like and fluid and navigate waters that might be going against you and just trying to make the most of it. Also in group settings, right? Like if you're traveling with a group, contribute to a group dynamic, right? It's almost like a team building exercise, right? Like trying to figure things out with your friends if you're all traveling together. Like maybe someone is better at scoping restaurants, maybe someone is better at booking all the tours and planning the itinerary, and maybe you're the one that's good at doing things last minute and also keeping everybody calm when you're in a stress situation if something goes off plan and goes a little bit awry. It may sound silly, but being on a trip, and whether you're with a group or with you're by yourself, but having the ability and the drive and the motivation to plan activities and look for food and deal with different weather conditions and different cultures or whatever it is that you're now exposing yourself to, all of that really helps you to know, whether you realize it or not in the moment, that you can trust yourself, which is a beautiful thing. It builds the relationship you have with yourself simply by traveling. Having that trust muscle, knowing where it is, knowing how to work it out, utilizing travel to do it is something that I find to be one of the most beautiful things about traveling. You're putting yourself in a situation where you have no choice but to adapt. Put down the stick of resistance and just be like, okay, we're going to figure this out. I'm going to go with it, even in the worst of travel moments, because I've had plenty of terrible travel moments where I'm like, just get me home, get me out of here. But even that, you're still navigating the waters, you're still navigating a situation, you're still building that trust muscle. And it's all really, really important when it comes down to your relationship with yourself. The third way I see these two beautiful things coming together is that when we plan for going away, right? When we're thinking about getting away and we want to go away, that in itself, carving out that time, prioritizing a trip, saving and stacking money on the side, making sure that you have all of the essentials that you want for this particular getaway, giving yourself the permission to have that break from your day-to-day life and going somewhere new, or going back to somewhere you love, or just getting away out of your normal situation and circumstances, that in itself is leaning into wellness, just carving out the time, right? Think about carving out the time for anything else when it comes to wellness. Whether it's physical and you want to work out, you're carving out the time to go to the gym, or you're carving out the time to go for that walk. If it's spiritual, you're carving out time to pray or to meditate or to sit with your crystals or whatever. mental wellness, you carve out time to go to therapy or to talk to your pillars of support, whatever it is, you need to be intentional to carve out that time for it. And when you are planning and making sure that you want to get away and giving yourself that permission slip, like, okay, I want to go somewhere, I need to get out of here. That is a huge, huge, huge like green flag of, okay, like you're tapping into yourself, you're listening to your mental wellness, you need to get away. And that's beautiful. That is something that I think people do not give themselves enough credit for. And I think it's easy to look at travel as this, glorified, especially with Instagram now and all the pictures and the videos and people, renting these dresses in Santorini and like what this like luxurious version of traveling is. Like, yes, of course, traveling is a luxury. Traveling is a beautiful thing. And if you want to put on a huge long dress, like please by all means do it. But for the people who just like a really simple way of getting away and that fills them up, I don't think we need to shame the simpler ways of traveling or not glorify how much it aids our self-love and self-care to even just go somewhere that's 20 minutes away. When I first started traveling, like really getting into travel, right? Like I think facade of how glamorous travel seemed to me was obviously attractive. Like, oh yes, I want to go to Barcelona and eat the tapas and dance on the beach, and I want to go to the Caribbean so I can like swim up at the swim up bars. I didn't go to the Caribbean until I was like 25. And there was definitely that initial factor that draws you in of being somewhere else, like that almost surface level version of why traveling is so amazing, which I think is great to just lure you in to begin with, because then obviously it's going to get you to experience so much more than that and understand yourself on a different level. But initially, it was definitely that for me. And as time went on and as I traveled more and the more places that I saw, I mean, as soon as I started traveling, the travel bug bit me and I wanted to go everywhere because I knew as soon as I got to that Caribbean place or as soon as I hit Europe for the first time, like there was something inside of me that immediately was like, oh, okay, like this is what it's all about. This feeling, this liberating, reflective, giving myself permission to be here, working hard to get here, feeling really, really just fulfilled by being somewhere else. That was what I was like, oh, this is what it's all about. Like, yes, the drinks in the swim up bar and the tapas and the dancing on the beach, a great time. Like, do not get me wrong. I love that as well. But that feeling on the inside, I think that's what really captivated me. And that's what really made me feel, oh, I need to travel. Like I have to seek going somewhere X amount of times a year. And then it just kind of grew from there for me. And identifying that special factor, that wellness lives so much within a travel experience is something that I find to be one of the most overlooked points about travel. I think some people can be like, oh, well, I went on like a spiritual getaway or I went on a retreat. And like those are kind of more obvious, right? Like just, oh, I am getting away to focus on my wellness. But you don't need to do those things, those yoga retreats or those, meditative retreats to be focused and tapped into your wellness when you're traveling. Dancing on a dance floor can be a it's insanely somatic healing and having you so tapped into your wellness you don't even realize it, and that's just one of many, many examples. All of that, just the entire process of traveling and experience of traveling really has been so evolutionary and eye-opening to me about the experience of life, and I feel like that is how I get to experience life, is traveling. I get to be on a self-discovery journey when I'm traveling and sharing this with all of you guys and sharing that deep part of me that feels that way about travel is one of the most authentic ways I can show up on this podcast and show up for all of you within my brand, within myself. To It's a core part of me, and I think Instagram easily can erase all of that background and depth. And I find it to be so important to like keep that alive and to be very, very aware of it when you're away and experiencing life and life outside of your normal everyday. Okay, I just got a little deep and really passionate, but it means a lot to me, you guys. I really feel genuinely deep about it. And I think that's why being reflective this weekend, I was like, holy crap, I need to talk about this because there is a reason why I'm so focused on these two pillars within everything in my work right now. And I'm really hoping that it's something that you guys can take away and integrate into your own lives or just think about and reflect on and have a moment with. Okay, last thing that I see as them being hand in hand is that we are on any trip, anywhere, doesn't matter where, are exposing ourselves to new culture. And exposing yourself to new culture is one of the biggest expanders I think life has to offer us. We are so used to our bubbles. We are so used to the way things work within our society, within our culture, within our system, within the people around us. And having the ability to see and experience and expose ourselves to new culture is one of the most expansive gifts we can give ourselves. And when I say expansive, like I mean, think about your mind literally expanding, growing from seeing something new, right? Like if we are all molded by the cultures of our families and the society around us and our friends and our work culture and all of that, like if all of that contributes to making up to how we think, how we talk, how we feel about something. When we put ourselves into a new place that has a different culture, this is also going to have that same effect on you. It's going to have that same growth factor. It's going to somehow stick to you in a way that you may not even realize how impactful being around this culture has actually changed the way you feel or think or has inspired you to have a certain outlook on something, you know? Seeing and being amongst how people live in different parts of the country or state or world influences us on this level that I don't think we want to admit to so much because we want to feel like, oh, we have ourselves so figured out and we are who we are. But leaning into that and realizing, oh, I can still learn, I can still be molded, I can still, maybe something I do now isn't something that's good for me anymore after I've seen how this culture does something in a certain way. And I want to integrate that into my life. Having conversations with people on vacation can completely change your perspective on something. Like literally hearing one story, one sentence can pivot the way your perspective is on a particular topic or the way you've been looking at a certain area of your life, and absolutely can change your entire trajectory in your journey, which to me is massive and huge on how traveling impacts your wellness, you know? And even if it's something that you don't like, you realize, oh, I don't like this about this culture and I would never do that. Or it could be things that you do like when you see fashion on the street and you're like, damn, I kind of want to get shoes like that. Like maybe I would look good in like that type of trench coat, or like maybe dressing up for dinner is something I should do more often because this is something I'm enjoying while I'm out on vacation. Or I like how people take their time to eat lunch or have their coffee in the morning and sit outside at a cafe and people watch. Like I kind of want to have that moment when I'm back home and slow down a little bit. Noting things like this, it sticks with us. Like it really does influence us. And it's like those like memes where it's like when someone spent like a summer abroad in France and they like come back with like a, what are those hats called? Like a beret, and like they're like have like a somewhat of a French accent. And like you're just influenced. You can't help it. Like we're meant to be influenced. We're meant to be changing. We're meant to be evolving. So I feel like resisting the things that are like lighting us up or turning us like like turning us off on vacation or while we're out and seeing other people do things a certain way, it makes us a little bit more self-aware, like, I want to be a little bit more like that, or ooh, I don't want to be as like that. Also, if you're traveling somewhere that's way more of an underprivileged society that you come from, seeing things like that also contribute to your wellness, I think spiritual wellness the most, because you have the exposure to a situation and a moment that you can say, wow, I have it so good. I am so grateful. Sometimes we don't realize that even just the running water in our bathrooms, in our sinks, is a privilege. And having those moments of gratitude and awareness and realizing just how good some of us really do have it in this world is another contributing way that travel really can pour into our spirituality. So there you have it, guys. Me getting all deep about travel and wellness. And having those points, I'm also thinking about how, like, the January blues are kind of around the corner, to be honest with you. I can't believe they're around the corner, but they're real. I love January. It slows us down after the holidays. It really allows us to just be homebodies, and it allows time to slow down. Like, December goes by so quickly. January always feels so long, but I love that. I love when time actually feels slow because it's so rare for it to feel that slow. And I definitely am somebody who loves to plan a getaway in the dead of the winter because I'm a Northern Hemisphere baby. Jersey and Switzerland are all that I know. It's all that I've grown up and lived in and understood, is having January be the dead of the winter. And especially living on the East Coast of the States, I mean, I was always looking to get away for one of the holiday weekends in January or February. And typically, I was always going to the Caribbean because I needed vitamin D and the sun and the sea and just the salt water on me. And I wanted drinks. I want pina coladas. I just want to reset, reboot, unplug, recharge, and just, whew, like, just even if it's like a 3 day or weekend, like, oh, it does something just hitting that reset button. And the Caribbean made it so easy to have like an all inclusive, here's your set package for your 3 days, one price, that's it. And I really loved that about living in the States. And when we moved here, we kinda had to figure out, like, wait a minute, we don't have the Caribbean, like, a 3-4 hour flight away, which totally take that for granted. It's kinda funny, like, hearing people here glorify the Caribbean. Not that I don't think the Caribbean is beautiful and amazing and just absolutely perfect, but having it be so close and having been so many times, I realized, like, wow, it is somewhere special, because people from Europe, I mean, that's like a 10, 11 hour flight for them, a 12-hour flight for them. It's the way we would look at like the Maldives or something, And when we moved here, we're like, well, where do people here go away in the winter? Because the Mediterranean ain't all sunshine and 80 degrees in the dead of the winter. It's much. My God, I got interrupted by my little baby coming home from the doctor. Um, because the Mediterranean isn't all, sunny in summer in the middle of the winter. So we definitely were trying to figure out, like, wait, where do people go if they want to have like the sun in the middle of the winter here? A lot of people go to Dubai. We realized, because it's still like a 6 hour flight. Like, yes, they have a resort and that's amazing and it's always hot there, but 6 hours is still like a commitment. But we realized that we like to go to Egypt when we want to get some sun in the middle of the winter, because the Red Sea has some great towns that also have some all inclusive or half board type of stays. And a lot of the towns, like, for example, Sharm has been around for a very long time, and I think that's like the most popular one. The second is Hurghada, which we absolutely loved, and we felt like that was kind of like a newer built up area with like a beautiful marina. We loved the hotel we stayed at when we went there. I think it was called Casa Cook, and it was just like that boho minimalistic chic, but like a boutique hotel vibe. So it didn't feel like stuffy or anything. It just felt really relaxed. It had beachfront property. And I'm so happy we found something like that here that we can kind of escape to, because I think getting away in the winter is something that we need to carve out time for and give ourselves the permission to hit that reset button, especially after the holidays, especially after all the crazy. Let things come down for a little bit, but like come into Jan, sometime in Feb, give yourself that break. And it doesn't need to be the beach, right? Like we just came back from a very wintry weekend and I felt like I was really able to unplug and relax. And sometimes it's nice to just lean into the winter vibes too and just cozy up and cuddle up somewhere that's waterfront or mountain front or whatever it is. I'm definitely trying to influence you guys to carve that time out, especially when it comes to how quickly our mental health can drop with the really short days and really long nights in January, and just the darkness in general just kind of sucks. So it's nice to just hit that reboot. Like even going away somewhere wintry, like I just mentioned, like just having that hot chocolate in front of a fireplace or cozying up with a book, or, just being somewhere that's a little different than your own place gives you that chance to allow your senses to be stimulated, allow you to unwind and lean in and realize that travel and wellness really do go hand in hand. All right. Guys, that's my spiel for today. I need to go tend to the babes because he is sick yet again. Love being a mom to a toddler. Next week is Christmas, so I'm not going to take much of your time. Next Wednesday, it'll be a short little quickie, and I think you guys will enjoy it regardless. But have an amazing rest of the week. This weekend is my birthday, so I'll be doing a whole lot of nothing because I'm pregnant and I just want to stay home and order food, or maybe go to a Christmas market and eat food, or do something like that. Oh, but I also have that appointment with the astrologer the night before my birthday, so I want to circle back about that on one of the episodes to come. Okay, anyway, I'm done. See you guys next week. Ciao.